What's going on, everyone?
Oh, you're
How we doing?
You're good.
Good. How are you? Good. How we doing, Law? Welcome. One of the 3 times that I get the honor to speak with this Coach crew. The trade deadline, we've talked about this before. It's a hard time. There's a lot of bittersweet emotions that are involved in it every year. Because in order to get, you have to give. That's how trades work. That both sides have to see it as a win-win proposition. This deadline no different, and probably as hard as any deadline. Trading, Terrence was extremely difficult. There's a reason why Terrence is beloved by everyone inside these walls, and he's one of our fan favorites as well. And long history with Terrence. If you guys remember the story, one of our scouts, Leo Papil, coached him in AAU. So we have history with Terrence since he was basically a 13-year-old. All the games we went to go see him play in college. Watching him hit the game winner against Virginia Tech in the ACC tournament, then seeing his journey through Portsmouth, the G League showcase, then the combine, seeing a secret workout we had for him in Atlanta, and he shot a hard ball, man. There were a lot of misses, but the belief we had when we drafted him, seeing his development from year one and then kind of the breakout, you guys remember in the bubble, that last game against Orlando, we almost had a triple-double. And everyone talks about the 39-point game to get us to Western Conference Finals, but it was just the day-to-day consistency of what he brought, and was a model for basically our player development program. Very, very adaptable, being willing to accept any role, and just I love him, and we all love him. He's a top-shelf human being, a terrific rotational player. And love him, his mom. So that was really, really challenging and hard. So very, very thankful. Young player like Scoot, who did everything we asked. Helped us win some games. Defensively was very, very good on the ball, good rebounder. Offensively, finding his way in terms of a more efficient way, but like super coachable, receptive. I'm just proud of his development off the court and what he's done there. And we knew in the case of Milwaukee, before Scoot chose us, it came down to Milwaukee or us. And so always knew their interest in him. And then once we made some of the other moves that we've made, just kind of made sense to give him the best opportunity to be in a playing rotation in Milwaukee. And obviously we know those people really, really well. Bones, I feel bad for Bones in that when we traded for Bones, there initially was a pathway to play. Obviously, we then brought Russ on board, so now he's stacked behind a Hall of Famer. Then we brought James on board. Now you're stacked behind 2 Hall of Famers. And Bones is a really, really talented offensive player. His ability to shoot it off the dribble from range, his passing, and has a dynamic offensive game. This is a tough league, and it's hard. There's so many talented players, and there's a finite amount of roster spots. So, really, wish all 3 of those guys the best, and that's what makes it tough. Yet at the same time, we're really, really happy with our trade deadline. What you do as a back office, you set up objectives. Once you have a sense for your team, like we know what our long-term strategy is, but also our short-term strategy is to be as competitive as we can possibly be, to give ourselves a chance to go as far as we possibly can be. And doing that while also keeping the long-term, in the back of our mind. So we wanted to address some positional needs, but also some skill set needs. And we feel really, really good about that. We wanted to improve our draft capital. We feel very fortunate we're able to do that. We also wanted to improve our overall flexibility, which we were able to do as well. Bogdan Bogdanovic is someone that we've liked for a long time, someone that we've talked about a bunch internally. He's had a terrific NBA career where he's been perennial, one of the top 6 men in the league. He's obviously had a very storied international career as well. we look at our team, and you guys study us and you follow us every day. You know, we're a little light on shooting, and you know, Bogdan gives us not just shooting, but he gives us good size at the position, and he's a quick processor of the game. You know, so secondary playmaking, can put him in pick and roll, can help with some of the ball handling responsibilities, and a high basketball IQ. He's also a terrific competitor. You've seen that both on the NBA stage, where he's not afraid of the moment and taking big shots. You've obviously seen it if you watch any of his international play, and most recently this summer, he had a terrific Olympic campaign. He's had a little bit of a down year this year, but when you study it and you look at all the possessions, it just may just be nothing but just a poor shooting luck. But he's an outstanding shooter, but he's much more than just a shooter. So we're super happy and fortunate. He's got a really quick release as well, which I think will play well playing off our guys. The MarJon Beauchamp, a young player, wasn't much opportunity for him in Milwaukee, but always have a penchant for length and positional size, and we'll give him an opportunity and see where he's at. He has a Jamal Crawford connection because Jamal's the one that actually got him to the G League Ignite. So back when he was at the G League Ignite, just followed him, we liked him as well. Going back to the first transaction we made with Utah, Drew Eubanks, we wanted to get a different look at our backup five. Drew's a super hard-charging, hard-playing guy, physical, not afraid of any confrontation, runs the floor. You guys saw the other night, just, the pass over the top from James, his abilities, good hands, good roller, can finish at the rim. His rim protection stats have been pretty good this year. He's gonna try to block it, whether he gets it or not, but he'll put himself in there, and he's quickly earned the respect of our guys just with his play. Patty Mills, one of the super pros in this league, and it's really important that the guys who are out of the rotation, they have to be able to play when the coach puts them in the game, but they also have to be able to handle not playing. And it's tough. And when you're a young player, it's really hard. And so with Patty, who's had another guy who's had an unbelievable both pro career and international career, he gets it. He understands where he's at. He's always going to stay ready. If you put him in the game, he can play 20 minutes, no problem. But he can also be there and not play and be super supportive of his teammates and coaches. He's a great vibes guy, so to speak. It's pretty awesome to see that picture of him and Nico in Portland as young players 16 years ago. And prior, I remember asking both Kawhi, James, Nico just about Patty. And he's like a favorite teammate guy, type of guy. So we feel like when you look at it, okay, we wanted to address some needs, backup five. We think Drew's gonna give us some a different trait than what we had before. And again, I failed to mention Mo Bamba. I know T. Lou spoke about him, but Mo did everything we asked as well. It was just when we talked about flexibility, he was part of the deal with PJ. But we wish Mo very well. The same best wishes for getting back on track. We wanted to add shooting, so with Bogdanovich, I think we definitely helped ourselves there. I think we helped rebalance our roster. So we feel really good about the deadline, and also there's more moves to be made as well. So I think we're in a good position. We obviously haven't been playing very well as of late. We need to play a whole lot better, and I'm very confident we will. But in regards to the deadline, we feel really good about it.
Questions?
After the Gettysburg Address, would anyone else like to ask anything?
Hey, Lawrence.
Where are you? I can't see.
Back to your right.
Thank you.
Hi.
How you doing?
When you talk about long-term goals matched with short-term potential of this season, how did the first half of the season and the success that this team had even before Kawhi came back recalibrate what your needs might have been as you looked at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think going in, Lauren, we thought we'd be a high-level defensive team. We were very intentional in terms of how we built this team this summer. and adding the guys we added, they had a defensive pedigree. Then, with T. Lou and JVG's coaching, we felt we'd be a top 5 defense. Offensively, we thought, especially without Kawhi, that it may be a little bit of a struggle. That realistically, we thought, okay, we'd be, right around 20, which we were. Now, what we did not expect is, like, obviously everyone knows the brilliance of James, and, we obviously have a great deal of respect for Norm and Zoo, but their ascension, and you have to give those guys a great deal of credit, James, Norm, Zoo, the ton of heavy lifting they've done, the progress that they've made, it's real, and you can see it, it's real, and it's all the work they put into it. And yet, our other guys in there, just the roles that they played, Amir has made a big jump, which is what you love to see. So when we assessed the team, I know probably externally people were surprised. In terms of the process, we really weren't surprised. How the record comes out, yeah, like if someone would have said, at the time, we were 5, 6, 7 games over 500 before Kawhi there, yeah, that's surprising. That's unbelievable credit to our players and our coaching staff. In terms of how does that impact the trade deadline, it just shows you, okay, where there's some needs. Like we knew we had a lot of wings. We had a surplus of wings. We also knew that, that shooting's a premium in this league. And when we watch our team and you see how teams are playing us now, it's no secret. We're dealing with a lot of, even last year, we saw where big wings would pick up full court. So we wanted to add some secondary ball handling and playmaking, along with shooting. We wanted to get a little bit different look at the backup 5. So it just became clearer. And now the thing is, it's great to have those objectives, but you have to be really fortunate that they have to come together. So, the goal is each and every year, we are always going to be as competitive as we possibly can be. I mean, that's the vision of Steve, and that's our job to carry it out. Yet at the same time, we always have to position the franchise to not only be as good as you can possibly each year, but also to have a very, very bright future. So it's a delicate, tightrope that you have to walk. And, we feel up to this point that the group has shown that we are a very good team, that I think when we're at our best, we can compete with anyone. And I think our long-term future is bright as well.
Lawrence, you actually answered a bit of my question there at the end, but really since the transition from Lob City, you guys have been in that unique space where you have been remaining competitive, but also having a lot of changeover as well. It does feel like the moves that you made this deadline had a bit of that vision in mind, where you're improving the team for the time being, but then also creating some additional financial flexibility going forward. Just how challenging is that to navigate? And also, is it correct to assume that is part of the focus when you are making moves like the ones that you guys made?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And it's similar type playbook. We had a little bit different asset base at the time, but of 2017 and 2018. And it's just, some franchise they're okay bottoming them out. That's just starting from the top. That's just not how we're going to do it. We want to give our fans the best product each and every year. So it's a challenge. Now, the key is, like anything, is, especially with where we're at, is we don't have, a lot of draft capital. So we have to do it through, trades that work for both sides. We have to do it through internal development. We have to do it through future planning, through free agency. We have a great deal of faith that this will be an unbelievable and has been an unbelievable free agent destination, because it starts with treating your current players great. Those guys are the priority, not future potential Clippers. It's treat your own guys the best, and then that message will carry throughout the league. But we are caretakers for this organization, and we have to make sure that there is, responsibility, and there's also a future as you're trying to maximize the present. And so when you look at having Steve as the chairman, this building is the ultimate manifestation of his commitment to make this the ultimate destination for players, their families and staff and their families. Having an elite head coach in T. Lou, having great players like James and Kawhi and our other guys. Those are great selling points, and the city of Los Angeles is a tremendous place where players love to be. So yeah, it's a balancing act, but one that's an honor and privilege to be a part of.
Hello. No, you guys can't exactly just make moves in a vacuum. There's 30 teams in this league. Some of them have made some really loud moves over the last week. So where do you, as a executive on one of those 30 teams, kind of look at how the moves like Luka and AD and Fox, Santo, like where do you guys kind of look at that and kind of how do y'all stay focused on what y'all have to do even when everybody else is making what seems to be on paper, more extraordinary things happen?
Yeah, and I think the one is you always have to run your own race, and you have to focus on yourselves. We have a history of making some loud moves, but you can't make a loud move every single year. It's like impossible. So what you have to do is build your team intentionally. In 2019, we made a loud move. It borderline was an earthquake. We made a loud move last year with James. But it's not about the loud moves. It's about building a team that's sustainable. And we feel really good that we improved our team on the margins, which is very, very important. Plus, we went into this year thinking our trade deadline acquisition was going to be Kawhi Leonard. And we didn't have to, it wasn't a trade. He was coming, and we didn't have to remove any of our current players. So we thought going in, that will be our trade deadline acquisition. But that wasn't enough. We also had to address some different position and skill set needs. And, we feel really good about the guys that we added. So it's not necessarily about the loud bang every year. I think you study the league and you learn and you see. But, those aren't an every year type deal.
Lawrence, I know that you guys sent out 5, brought in 4, so that opens up a roster spot for you guys, obviously. And I know you guys like Jordan, but how do you guys kind of address, given that we haven't seen Kawhi at full strength, minutes-wise and everything, what you guys are looking for or what's missing with this team, given that you guys have that spot open?
Yeah, again, I think, you just look at what are some of our needs. We've been really, really fortunate, as you guys know, in the buyout market. You look at, Nico, you look at Reggie Jackson, you look at Russ. Those guys, had a huge impact. Typically, buyouts, when you study them, the history of buyouts, there's not a huge impact of it. And so we're very fortunate that we've always been a destination for buyout guys. Guys love playing for T-Lou. They've fallen in love with the franchise. So we'll look at the buyout market and see how we can address some additional needs that we have. We talked about Jordan. We'll continue to work through that. And your team always kind of tells you what they need. And so you're constantly looking for improvement. You hope for it, that it's internal improvement, but if there's someone on the outside that provides something that our other 14 guys don't provide, then we'll add that.
Last one.
Lawrence, you mentioned earlier about Bogey that you've looked at all the possessions that he's had this year, and you kind of could boil it down sometimes. So hopefully, it is just poor shooting luck in terms of him because of his track record in the NBA. When looking at data, when looking at possessions, how do you guys kind of weigh that at a trade deadline, with a minute time frame to evaluate and try to kind of assess how a guy could potentially fit in with the team when you do look at the data, and then you have to cross-reference that with the eyes and kind of weigh everything in general?
Yeah, your preparation starts months in advance. So basically, all your video work, all your analytical work, it's done months ago. Like the reports, it's not that all of a sudden we decided on Thursday to trade for Bogdan. We're well versed in his game, watched all, we've studied his career, and just, his Olympics was tremendous. And so what you're doing is, okay, why was he shooting a low percentage? And you watch every single possession, you figure out, okay, is there anything different in what he's doing? Is he having a harder time getting it off? Is there anything physically that's impacting him? Is he getting his shots in different situations? and so much when you're taking one NBA player from one team to another, it's contextual scouting, because one guy may be great in one system and struggling in another, or vice versa. And I think with the way that T. Lue plays and Bogey's game, I think it's going to be a really, really good fit. We've always loved his DNA. He is a tough-ass competitor. I love those international competitions, but I also love what he's done in the NBA and just his adjustment, because he came in the NBA as a 25-year-old. He was older. Took him a couple years to kind of figure out like the NBA game, and it's always, I've seen with virtually for the most part, every special player in Europe, it takes at least a year just to get. The NBA game's totally different. The culture's different. So yeah, like for us, we're very, very confident that as long as he stays healthy, that he's gonna be a very positive contributor for us.
Cool. Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.